Hello guys, thank you here, and we're back with some more Doll's Nest post-game builds. So before we begin, I would like to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any questions or concerns with this build, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. So without further ado, let's get started. So while I was making the Alice build, I had a bit of an epiphany, and thought of the flying frames that we heard about. So according to the lore, there are some certain rocket frames that would deliver ordnance to certain enemy types. And some of these ordnances would be, well, let's just say supposedly quite powerful, and then it struck me. I haven't really made a flying build, and I think it would be a good time to actually start with a rocket build. Or to, well, even out the roster a little. So, I present you the bomber build. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. So for our mobility module, we are running the Voctal. So for the headset module, we'll be running the Valves. For the hanger module, we'll be running the Voctal again. For the thruster module, we'll be running the Faluricon. For the utility module, we'll be running the Faluricon again. For the primary arms 1, we'll be running the Alita. For the primary arms 2, we'll be running the Scimitar. For the rear arms right, we'll be running the Shillis. And for the rear arms left, we'll be running the Graphs. So I need to note one thing about this build. Well, I do have the Alita as the primary arms 1 and the Scimitar as the primary arms 2. Feel free to run whatever bubble launcher or grenade launcher you want. You don't have to necessarily run the Alita. You could run the Dozel instead. And with the primary arms too, you can run whatever. You can run a beam gun or a discharge machine gun, like say the Bilgor, or you can run the shotgun, like SMGs, rifles. Just whatever you want for the primary arms too, as long as you can carry it. Although, granted, yeah, I do recommend you run the Alita because, well, the Alita is pretty light and it does some pretty decent thermal, or rather explosive thermal damage, which is actually pretty nice. As for the primary arms too, I'd decided to just run the Scimitar because why not? Scimitar has like some pretty good piercing power. Not to mention it does some pretty decent thermal damage. So yeah, it's pretty nice to have. As for the rear arms, I decided to run the Shillis and the Graphs, mostly to cover my bases when it comes to doing explosive damage. The explosive damage on both these weapons are pretty good, but if you need to double down on one type of damage, like say physical damage, it doesn't hurt to like slap on another Graph or something. Although granted, I do recommend to be careful with the Shillis if you plan on double downing on this, because the Shillis is pretty heavy. So yeah, you're gonna want to make sure you have the headspace in order to actually carry 2 Shillises. Other than that, there's really not much to say, or not much else to say about this build. I'm running the utility module for Faluricon just to keep my BP up because this build tends to eat up quite a bit of BP. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. So we're here at the Arboreal's Nest. I decided to come here because, quite frankly, this place is a good place for the build. You get to see all the strengths and possibly the weaknesses with this build, but we'll see. But anyways, yeah, with this build, you generally want to try to do as much jumping as possible. That's kind of the whole point of this build. And also, try to use your rear arms as much as possible, if you can. And as you can see, this build is quite powerful. Quite powerful. I know these enemies are rather weak against thermals, but pretty much against any other enemies you'll encounter, yeah, this build will actually do pretty well. And again, if you need to double down on more than one damage type, feel free to just either go for the Graph, like dual Graphs, or dual Shillises. But anywho, yeah, the idea with this build is just jump and try to raid down as much ordnance as possible, and basically finish them off with your secondary arms. So for me, it's the Scimitar. Yeah, that's generally the whole gist of the build. So you're gonna want to jump before you actually engage the enemy. I'm not doing this too well, but try to use your Alita or your Dozel as much as possible while you're in the air. With the Alta, you kind of just fire off a barrage, so every time you fire this particular weapon, you're going to want to reload every single time. It's a bit of a downside with the Alta, but quite frankly, the Alta is pretty strong on its own, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Okay, just go ahead and draw this enemy closer. By the way, you can pretty much just use your scimitar just to deal with everything if needed. Or just go between your scimitar and your Alta, just to get into damage. But yeah, generally you kind of just want to jump, fire, and just try to get as much awareness as possible. Do be careful about taking debuffs like Overheat, because this build heavily relies on being mobile in general as its defense. It can take a bit of a hit, but yeah, do be careful about like taking hits, because while this thing does have relatively good armor compared to some lighter flying builds, it's no tank. Let's be honest there. So yeah, try to not get hit as much as possible. And the nice thing about running rocket modules is if I can do this properly. Oh. Wait, just stand on something. Oh. Alright, well. Oh, I got it. There we go. Yeah, that's the nice thing about rocket modules. It kind of makes it easy to explore. With the Voctals, it's a little bit difficult to... actually, no, that's one thing I need to mention. Yeah, be very careful about flying up close with this build, because, quite frankly, this build tends to do a lot of explosive damage, and if you get caught in the explosive damage, you're gonna take some hits too. Another thing to mention is, yeah, you tend to eat up quite a bit of BP with this build, so, yeah, the Phalurkon's utility module is highly recommended utility module to have. I haven't been able to pull this off, but you could try using the Varchis to replace the Phalurkon utility modules, but I don't recommend it because the Varchis is quite heavy. You could use the Vox instead, but the Vox tend to, well, not restore that much BP in general. And speaking of BP, let's go ahead and replenish ourselves. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, this build is actually not too bad with exploration. I forgot to mention this during the build phase, but you could try replacing the Voctals mobility module with, say, the Vadols, but I do recommend being careful with the Vadols because while you do get plenty of jump height, you do lose out on carrying weight, so yeah, be very careful with that. Also, one thing I need to mention about the Vadols is, well, it tends to be a little bit more on the defensive side. Thanks to having a little bit better armor, but apart from that, I do recommend just using the Voctals solely for the carrying weight. And if you wonder what the Vadols is, I might as well just show that to you now, because I do in fact have that. Let's see here. And here's the Vadols in case if you guys are wondering. Another thing I should probably, or most definitely warn you guys about is, rocket builds tend to not do too well on inclines. So let's see if I can get this problem to arise. Alright, this incline is a little bit, one of the better inclines here. Let me actually... this way, I'll just take care of you. As you can see, you gotta have like minimal safe distance whenever you're firing this. Or using this build, because yeah, it's very easy to take self damage. If anything, try not to stand in front of enemies when you're actually using this build. Otherwise, you're gonna be seeing the node tree quite often. Also, there's an elite over here, and actually, this might be a good time to actually up how much damage I can do. Oh, and by the way, I should probably mention. Pardon me. I should probably mention this about the shields as well, but. If you fire off the shields, you see how the orbs are kind of just hovering around? The nice thing about those orbs is they kind of home in onto your enemy. So if your shot kind of whiffs and you got like these thermal orbs like right behind the enemies, there's a good chance those there's a good chance those thermal orbs actually might hit your enemy in the back. If they do manage to kill your enemies by hitting them in the back, you might be able to get back some BP, which is the pretty nice thing about this build. Or rather, the very nice thing about this build. But anyways, apart from my conniptions here, let's go ahead and try to see if I can't find a good place to actually show off one of the big problems with this build. Or rather, just the big problems with the rocket mobility modules. I don't think I can actually cause it here. Yeah, I can't cause it here. I need a serious incline for this. Actually, no, I could probably just cause it here. Or not, never mind. I was too slow. Well, I should just force it. Okay, so you see how I wasn't able to jump while I was boosting up this incline? That's the one big thing about rocket modules. They tend to not do too well on inclines. So if you plan on jumping with this build, make sure you're either on an incline like this where you can actually jump, or just hold still. Like so. Just be very careful about going too fast with this build. Another thing you want to watch out with this build is going down inclines as well, because if you try jumping while doing your going down an incline, you'll actually do a hard landing. Basically, what a hard landing does, like just throw out the shot, just so I can demonstrate. Basically, what a hard landing does is it holds you in place and it cancels out your animation too. As you can see, I wasn't able to reload my Alita while it's hard landed. So yeah, do be careful about that with this build. So again, be careful about going up inclines when you're jumping, and be careful about going down inclines when you're jumping. If anything, yeah, inclines are this is this build's mortal enemy. Anyway, let's go ahead and fight these enemies now. Oh yeah, another thing you want to watch out for this build is you want to be careful about be careful with flying enemies, because this build is mostly made for range enemies. I'm just gonna shoot this guy. Anyway, this is kind of what you're supposed to do with this build. Like, if your enemy ends up surviving the initial barrage, just finish them off with the secondary. As such, let me go ahead and flash myself. Okay, then you I'm gonna have to deal with. But despite some of the weaknesses, yeah, this build is pretty strong when it comes to defenses. As you can see, the enemy's barely able to hit me. Just barely able to. And there we go. Yeah, this build tends to struggle a little bit against elites, but it's not by much. If anything, you can pretty much take down elite pretty easily. Although granted, you are going to be starved for health. I would also recommend being a little bit careful with sniper enemies, because they tend to be pretty good at shooting you when you're trying to take off. More or less. Also, like, go ahead and pop a repairing agent. But once you're in the air, feel free to actually just boost around like so, if you need to actually get out of harm's way. That's the whole reason why I decided to run the Brawler guns, by the way, or the thrusters, just so we can have a little bit more mobility and EP efficiency. Anyways, yeah, let me show you another thing. This build. Kills means nothing to this build. Absolutely nothing. Although, granted, do be careful about, do be careful with aggressive enemies. You might want to give them some lead when they're running towards you. So yeah, instead of like aiming right towards them, try to aim where they're going. And the same goes with fast enemies as well. Anyway, let's keep going. We'll keep fighting everything. There's another aggressive enemy. Ahead. Fire this. Kill it just to mock him. And finish him up with the scimitar. Yeah, it took a bit of ordnance, but I managed to take him down. Just a little bit of ordnance. And by the way, this build is seriously fun. Just dropping all this ordnance on top of your opponents. This build was like heavily inspired by some of the lore I've read up on this game. There's a lot of lore where hear about Porok and Nifs actually dropping ordnance down on top of their enemies. I don't think they had something like this, but I like to pretend to. And we're here at the main sector. Let's see here. Did I manage to clear everything? Let's see. I managed to get off flying enemies, or warn you guys about flying enemies. Yeah, just be very careful about flying enemies. If you go up against flying enemies, be sure to switch to your secondary weapon and just shoot them as normal. Don't try to use your rear arms against them, or your Alita, or your Dozel, because quite frankly, you're gonna have a hard time hitting them with any of those weapons. So yeah, just stick to your secondary weapons if you run into flying enemies. And here, okay, that's tricky, because you're down there. Okay, not let you get behind you. BP back. Yeah, I'm not doing too well on my BP fishing here. Yeah, with the shields, you can just shoot around your enemies and hopefully I hit your enemy in the back. I got a little bit too aggressive there. And as you can see, yeah. Minimum safe distance, people. Make sure to have minimal safe distance, otherwise you're gonna get hurt like me. Also, let me just go ahead and pop this off. Does it kill me? Okay, there we go. And I'll just pop off a repairing agent. And by the way, did I tell you guys I was playing this on, or I'm playing on hard mode right now? Yes, this is hard mode, by the way. This, as you can see, yeah, this build is pretty strong even on hard mode. So yeah, it's pretty nice to see. Pretty nice. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and head back to the node tree. Up or down. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about this build. Yeah, so far this build is actually pretty fun. I actually might try using this on my streams, by the way. And by the way, if you want to catch me on streams, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, or just hop onto my Discord so you actually know where or when and where my streams gonna happen. But regardless, I think it's time for us to call it quits with this build. So, sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any questions or concerns with this build, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. So without further ado, this is going to be Tenku signing off. Bye bye.